Broads, this episode is brought to you by Blenders, which are now the only sunglasses I wear. Blender sunglasses were started by a surf instructor in San Diego, and if ever there was a person to have some say in sunglass design, a surf instructor from Southern California seems like the person.
Well, I would say so. And typically sunglasses are either really expensive or they're not really good quality, but not Blenders. They're affordably priced. They've got a focus on trend and design, and they're made to actually wear and last.
What a concept. I am known for dropping my sunglasses or even worse, stepping on them. So I need a pair that will hold up. And I gotta say, so far, so good with Blenders. And again, so cute.
To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com, enter promo code CHATTYVIP. That's blenderseyewear.com, code CHATTYVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide.
And welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Hello, Broads.
Hello.
I feel like it's been a long time because we recorded the
It's been a long time.
few episodes from last week, like all in the same day,
Yes.
a hot minute ago. It feels like it's just been forever and a day.
Yes.
How have you been?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how are you? It's like one of those things.
Lord.
It's like one of the no. It's just one of those things like when you're pregnant and someone says like, "How are you feeling?" And you're like, excited, bad, my back hurts, I'm tired, I'm happy, and I feel all those things at once. So
And you feel all of it.
yeah, like what right in this moment, I feel good. I'm not too hungry. I'm not feeling too tired. I'm feeling energetic. I'm feeling excited about this episode. But a lot going on.
Yeah, you're a busy lady right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just how it is sometimes.
You know what it is? We're just trying to do the most. Actually, everything's like pretty good, but we were like just in Mexico, and then this past weekend we were like on a little climbing trip. And then,
yes. Oh my God. You
This
guys
weekend
have been
we're going
so
somewhere too.
busy. Oh, you guys are going somewhere this weekend too?
Memorial Day. We're going to Donkey Days in Bishop. It's a donkey rodeo festival.
Excuse
And we're renting an RV. It's gonna be so fun.
What?
See, this is summer energy though. So like, even though I'm like tired and like my house is such shit right now, I'm like, we're going places, we're having fun, and I kind of live for it. So.
I mean, when you say donkey rodeo, like I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
and we're gonna like hang out with my cousins and just like drink with them, and they have kids, and it's just gonna be like a blast.
oh, that sounds so. Also,
Right?
I am a huge fan of a donkey.
Are you?
If I could nuzzle a creature right now, it would probably be a donkey.
I wish we could like. It's too late now, but like next year, if this all goes well, like I bet they have like little sheep riding competitions for little kids, so we
my
can
God.
dress Ruth up like in a little cowgirl outfit and make her go out there and ride a sheep. Like she'd love it.
Well, she is the queen of the animals. Let me tell you something. When you guys post about Ruth with the horses, my whole body hurts, and I run into the house and I beg Evan to get me pregnant again. I'm like, I know
She's
I
just,
really
like,
don't want
brushing
this,
the horse.
but I need that.
She's an animal queen.
She is maybe the cutest child I've ever seen.
She's pretty cute. I don't know. Frank's kind of the cutest child.
I mean,
I've ever
Frank's
seen.
absolutely adorable.
Like, no shade
precious
to
BB. But like, there's something about that age too, and her like big eyes, and like and her little voice. It's the voice. Whenever she like talks now in your stories, I'm just like, oh.
I know, and she's like so bossy. It's like I remember feeling the same way when you would put Ember on your stories when she was this age too.
Oh
where
my
it's
God.
Just like
No, I'm legit. Like, I'm just like, maybe I'm questioning my decisions about not having a kid again. It's just so cute, and how much she just loves riding the horsies.
you guys could foster toddlers. That'd be fucking wild.
Oh my God. Honestly, if I would foster an age, it would be that age. I love it so much.
It's so cool. Like it's so cool to watch them just like
They're just discovering the world.
Yeah.
And the little things that they say, those tiny little voices.
I think it's really fun to like teach her to do things for the first time. Like the first time she's ever held like scissors, the first time she's ever like cracked an egg. Like it's really cool.
It's kind of unbelievable, like the opportunity to be able to do that with a child.
Yeah, I'm like, and this is how you take mommy's Instagram photos, Ruth. You press this button. Nope, angle down a little bit. Yep, right there. It's just they're pliable.
This is how you manipulate your dad. Come here. Okay. Start crying. Tell him that you feel like he hasn't been around enough. and then you ask for what you want.
Please, Daddy, don't go to work. Can I watch TV?
Daddy, you're always at work and I never feel like you're emotionally present. Can I watch Rainbow High?
Will you help Mommy take out the trash? Oh my God.
Yeah, let's use this to my advantage.
What's Rainbow High?
I actually really don't know. I've never watched it, but my mom got her all these dolls this past weekend that are Rainbow High dolls, and I'm really hoping that it's not like this treacherous show, because I have watched like the Barbie. There's like a Barbie cartoon that somehow
Left in the Dream House.
Yeah, that like popped up on Netflix a couple weeks ago, and it must have been like what was next, and I walk in and I hear her watching this, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like,
was it Life in the Dream House? Or
I think so.
Oh, I used to love watching Life in the Dream House, my nanny kids, because they're trying to do like a spoof of like The Hills or something.
Yeah.
Where they have their like in ITMs. It's not really for kids.
That's the thing. It's like, I'll be honest with you, not quite for children. It was like the level of attitude going on. Yeah. I'm like, if my kid starts to talk to me this way, I'm in so much trouble, because she already has the attitude. She's going to kindergarten in a few months, and I just picture her speaking to her teacher. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, the way that they communicate in it is pretty rough. Good. No. And there's just a lot of excess in it. It's just, the show is just fully focused on.
Now I'm going to buy 8 purses.
It's always like, check out my closet. And she pushes a button and it's like the size of a huge home. And she's like, I don't have enough. And that's just kind of the fixation of it.
Well, so did I ever tell you about that study they did where like, they did this study where like they were trying to show, okay, basically there was like a Clifford episode where there was like a 3-legged dog. Have I told you about this before?
No.
On the podcast. There was like a 3-legged dog. And like at the beginning, everyone was being all mean and ostracizing the dog because it had 3 legs, because it was a disabled dog.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they learned how to like be kind and accept everyone and let the dog in their activities. Well, basically, they did a study where like kids, I don't know if they were interacting with disabled animals or what, but like they did a thing before they watched an episode and then after, and the kids were not mimicking the good behavior. They were mimicking the bad behavior.
Oh my God.
So basically the kid didn't even know to do the bad behavior until they were shown it on the TV. So even when these TV shows and movies are trying to like show this redemption arc, the kids are just seeing the bad behavior and being like, whoa, I'm going to try that out.
You know what? That makes complete sense to
right?
me.
So just show them a show where everyone's just being nice to each other.
This is why Sesame Street slaps.
Right.
Like straight up, they want it. Like I know they have one of the main characters has autism, and it's like a main character who's like, they didn't have this story arc where they're like, let's accept this person after seeing them being bullied relentlessly. It's just one of the main characters, and they educate the kids. I mean, that makes
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street's the best. Now the Barbie one, it's just, oh great. I'm like, my daughter didn't know about all of this excess.
It's basically 5-year-old Paris Hilton is what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
So hopefully Rainbow High isn't that way, but just by the name, I have a feeling like it probably will be.
High.
And then seeing the dolls, I'm like, I mean, I will be honest, love the fashion, but probably the attitudes aren't going to be a 10 out of 10.
Like Bratz, were you allowed to have Bratz as a kid?
No.
No. My mom was like,
no.
Someone gave it to us for like a birthday party, and my mom swiftly gave that away.
Yeah. It's definitely Bratz energy. So that'll be a fun journey for us.
Dolls called Bratz. It's like, why would you want your kid watching or emulating that?
There's so much like that in kids shows. Like I can't even believe what they allow to be on children's shows.
I just realized there's another topic I want to bring up today.
Please.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about it right now. I'll bring it up later.
Okay.
Remind me.
Well, listen, because it's been a hot minute. I mean, you were in Mexico. It looked like a grand time. I know it was quick. And there was a long flight turnover.
Yeah.
That's the thing when you don't have children, by the way, that's not something I think that's realized often, that it's like, oh, well, obviously just 2 or 3 days in a beautiful place is incredible. But like the packing and the preparation and the rescheduling of the nap times and like the time change and everything on that quick of a, it can be a little rough.
Yeah. We will. Yeah. It was good. It was fun.
And then you had a tough time with your navigation when you went away this weekend and added a few hours to your travels.
When it happened that night, I was just like, I just gotta let go and let God right now. I was like, no sense in being angry. I was just like I was like, thank God Grayson's asleep right now.
Did he sleep the
thank
whole
God.
time?
He slept the whole time.
Oh,
He
okay.
woke up when we got there.
Okay.
And he was like kind of drowsy. And he's like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry that happened. And I was just like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
You're like, yeah, you should be sorry, and try to like make him feel bad even though.
She's like, no, it was fine, baby. And it really was fine because I just put it on a podcast and I didn't. Oh, no.
How long was then the drive?
So in the morning, what was supposed to be a 2.5 hour drive ended up being a 4 hour drive.
Okay.
No exaggeration.
Okay, that's
and this
a
is
long
a day
drive.
trip. This is a day trip.
Yeah.
But again, counting my blessings, Grayson was asleep for the second mishap. Also, no children in the car.
That's
so you know
huge.
what? What's the worst that happens?
That's
You
huge.
spend 10 hours in the car and whatever.
It's like when you get fully stopped on the freeway for like 2 hours.
Yes.
It's like if you're alone, it's
You're just
anxiety causing when you're trying to relax. But if there's a kid in the car crying and like, oh, what's going on? You're like, oh no.
Yeah, and if you're the only one in the car, I know we can climb in the back seat. Oh my God, no. So anyway, I was just like, this is fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's still a day away. It's fine. Yeah, and then on the drive home, it ended up being 3.5 hours. Yeah, so
It's a lot of driving.
so 7.5 hour car driving.
Yeah, that's a little rough. I'm so sorry when I saw you post that. I mean, blessings to you that you were able to stay calm. My major anxiety would have kicked in, and I just would have been like,
I have to say, like I'm actually pretty good in scenarios like that where I'm just like. Gray actually compliments me on this, and it's a very sweet compliment where I'm just like, all right, well, yes, it's a waste of 2 hours of 5 hours, 7 hours of my day.
the time just keeps going up.
But, might as well make it as fun as we can with those 7 hours. If I'm in just a pissy shit mood, it's going to be even more of a waste
That's
of time.
a great attitude. That's
but
a great way to look
catch
at it.
up on listen to some music, catch up on some podcasts, enjoy the scenery. Might as well make it good, right?
It's a really nice way to look at it.
Might
Yeah.
as well.
I struggle in that way.
Do you?
Yeah. I think if things don't go exactly like how I have them planned, I just get so anxious. And it's not that I'm like worried about the fact that I'll be miserable on the drive. It's just almost like my plans not working out that causes me to spiral.
This is going to be the most obnoxious thing I could ask right now, but what is your moon and rising sign again?
Why is that obnoxious, Queen?
I don't know. It just
we
is.
love a curious astrologer.
It's like you got some earth placement in your...
No, I don't. I
interesting.
think a lot of it, so my moon is in Scorpio and my rising
Okay.
is in Gemini.
Oh.
So I think what it is, I think a lot of it is learned because my mom and my dad are both Earth.
What are
and,
they? Got a Taurus in there?
We have a Taurus and we have a Capricorn. The Capricorn's Earth, right? Yep. Okay. Yes. And they are so wired that way. And so I think I think maybe my insides are more free and my learned habits are like, if the plans don't go exactly.
Something bad is going to happen.
Something bad will happen.
Yeah.
AKA mom or dad will have a full spiral meltdown and then they're going to fight and then it's going to be drama. And Evan is more wired like you are. Like he's kind of like, well, it is what it is. And so that helps me. But, I think that it's a lot of the learned habits.
Well, you know how I'm normally the chill queen with travel?
Yeah.
The start to the trip, I just have to throw this out there because we had plans. So our flight was like at...
We're talking about Mexico?
8:30, yeah, like
Okay.
8:15, 8:30 was like our flight. So we're like, we want to get there solid 2 hours before. So we booked an Uber for 6 a.m.
Okay.
When 6 a.m. rolls around, Jess, I don't know if I've never had this happen with booking an Uber, like scheduling it the night before. It kept being like, new driver, new driver, new driver.
Girl, Uber's also wild right now too. Like if I want to get an Uber from here to a restaurant like 10 minutes away, it will typically be a 14-minute wait, which broads normally would have been a 2-minute wait for Uber. And it's been like that in general.
So it kept saying like new driver 30 minutes, new driver 30 minutes. God. So eventually at 6:30, I was like, fuck it. We'll pay for airport parking. We got to get in the car. We got to go.
Oh my God.
We get there, then we have to do the airport parking. We have to wait for the shuttle to get there. It just gets down. Like it was so, there were so many people. So many people
Everyone's
at the
just
airport.
like vaxxed and ready to party. People are losing.
There were so many people. Like I have never had this much anxiety traveling. But then we got to the gate, and everyone was like what's the matter? Like it's over. I have not been that anxious in so long. I know I'm really anxious when I take a bite of food and I can't even swallow it because it just tastes like I'm just afraid I'm going to throw it up immediately if I swallow it. That's when I know my anxiety is like,
oh my God.
And so I was sitting there and Gray was trying to like make me eat this breakfast burrito and I would take a bite of it and I was just like, I have to spit it out in the trash right now. Like I have to spit it out. I couldn't even swallow the breakfast burrito. I was losing my shit. Like as sitting at the gate, just being like, I'm fine. In my head, like, I'm fine. It was horrible. And then, and then on the plane, then I was really hungry and then I was feeling nauseous because I was really hungry and then it was making me more anxious. So like the start to the trip was just crazy. And then on the way back, that crazy ass line.
That line was
and
wild.
We got there over 2 hours. We literally
You're like,
said,
this is what happens when we plan ahead.
I literally said, I go, wow, we are just going to have a stress-free experience at the airport this time. Cuts to us waiting in line for like 2 hours.
I'm not encouraging people to show up late to the airport, but I will tell you as someone who always shows up very early because, again, my mother and father would make us get there about 7 hours in advance. We always would have problems. Like it was almost like their pre-planning would cause there to always be absurd lines, delays.
It's like a Murphy's Law kind of thing.
Oh, no, straight up. It was like they're so anxious about making the flight.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Causes them to... And then we'd get on the plane and my dad would just be like, I'm like, can we just go back home? Because everyone's so angry and I know we're supposed to be on vacation, but I'm going to start crying because everyone's just, they're divorced. You know, we're just like all screaming at each other. My little sister was crying. It would just be like, oh my God, like this is just a nightmare.
Should we do an ad real quick?
Yeah, let's do a little ad, Ski. Right. Why not? So, broads, I am a firm believer that no matter if you want 10 kids or 1 kid or no kids at all ever, you need to know what's going on with your reproductive health. It's such an important piece of information to have when making decisions about your future, your family's future. In the past, fertility testing has been expensive, invasive, and honestly downright intimidating. I'll be the first to admit that I put off reproductive health testing for a long time because I was scared. And then I heard about modern fertility's new way of doing things, and it was way easier than I ever thought it would be.
Well, and you get that peace of mind that comes with knowing exactly what's going on with your body. That to me is priceless. And also, instead of going to a doctor in person and paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars to get these tests done, Modern Fertility brings the doctor to you. You're going to get your at-home test in the mail. You'll get access to all your health info with just the prick of a finger. And after you're finished, you send it back with a prepaid label. You'll have your results within 10 days.
Modern Fertility's at-home test gives you access to everything you want to know. You'll be able to see how many eggs you have, your hormone levels, and so much more. And if you want to walk through your results because you feel more comfortable doing that with a one-on-one with a fertility nurse to help determine the next steps, you're going to get that option with Modern Fertility, which is incredible.
Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/chatty. So that means your test will cost $139 instead of the several hundred or even $1,000 or more it could cost at a doctor's office. So you can get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/chatty. That's modernfertility.com/chatty.
Is there anything better than a good smelling person? I know that sounds weird, but you know those people that just smell good? I love those people. I remember those people. And broads, I recently switched my shampoo and I have to say, I might just be that kind of person now.
Okay, queen.
Okay. You've probably heard us talk about Function of Beauty before because they're amazing. They are the world leader in fully customizable hair care. And now I can confirm the best fragrance options of any hair care line I've ever used.
Rod's just not lying. I can smell the mango scent wafting from here. Function of Beauty is the only brand that tailors your hair care routine to you. It seems obvious because, of course, everyone's hair is so personal and so different. But then why have we been using the one-size-fits-all hair care forever? To get your unique formula, you take a hair quiz so the team at Function of Beauty can learn about your texture, hair health, and what you're looking for. And based on your results, they'll start crafting your personalized products.
And don't forget to customize your scent before ordering. Becca was right. I have mango right now because it is the perfect scent for summer. I'm also a huge fan of the eucalyptus and lavender fragrances. And for you broads that don't want a scent, there's that option too. We love that. All of the products products at Function of Beauty are paraben-free, sulfate-free, cruelty-free, and vegan. Plus, there are over 60,000 5-star reviews, so you can know that they're good.
Go to functionofbeauty.com/broads to take your quiz, and you're going to save 20% on your first order. That applies to their full range of customized hair, skin, and body products. That's functionofbeauty.com/broads. Let them know you heard about it here, and you can get 20% off your order. Functionofbeauty.com/broads.
Okay, so let's talk about Taysha. We just have to marvel over our queen. So in today's episode, bras, we are going to be chatting about some current batch news and also some just pop culture news.
Yes.
Taysha is having like quite a past few weeks.
She's having a moment.
I mean, Taysha on the cover of Cosmopolitan looking unreal. That spread was everything.
Dude, I just have to say, like, I feel like Taysha was like kind of a sleeper move for ABC to put as the Bachelorette, but by golly, I'm sure they are so glad that they did it. You know, everyone's kind of like Taysha.
I know everyone was kind of, you know, wasn't. No, I wouldn't say
we
was
like
on board.
Taysha, but it's just kind of like what, you know.
Yeah, some people were surprised. You and I were chanting her name after BIP, and we're like, "Give us Taysha." Yeah. Wow. I mean, Taysha is continuing to just be everything, and we love that her and Zach are still doing so well. And then she has this Cosmo cover, and then she ends up getting the MTV Movie and TV Choice Awards. The Bachelorette wins for dating show, which I know it's technically the show, but she accepted the award, and let's be real, it was her award because it was her season.
Poor fucking Claire.
Sorry, Claire.
Like, low-key, I feel so bad for her.
I mean, Claire seems to be doing well. Her and Dale are back together at the moment. I saw that she was wearing her engagement ring, so they were also like in Maui for 3 weeks or something like that. So she seems to be doing well, but Taysha is just, and I don't know where I heard this, but but I think I saw somewhere, and maybe it was Dumois, which again, never confirmed, so we can't really use that as a hard source. But I believe someone said that they are looking at Taysha as Chris Harrison's like actual replacement.
No way.
Yeah, so at least from that news, it seemed that she did real well for Katie's season. And I noticed too, like, maybe I'm missing the Caitlyn interviews, but I feel like I've been seeing so many interviews just with Taysha regarding Katie's season and like how Katie was and how Taysha felt being on the show again as the host and da-da-da. And I feel like I'm seeing them really a lot just with Taysha. So I'm like, are we getting Taysha as the new CH?
I want to know what the fuck's happening with Chris Harrison. I want updates on if there's a lawsuit happening. I want to fucking know what's going on.
It's been quiet.
I know. That's what makes me think that some shit is going on.
Oh yeah, there has to be some rumblings. Like, you know, behind the scenes, it's
do you think they're gonna do like a settlement? Did he actually was he actually pursuing?
I don't think he actually I don't know if he. There's no confirmation. I believe that he filed. It was just the rumors
he was
lawyering up because he had a lot to say.
So maybe they're not going to do any kind of like legal pursuit or settlement, but maybe they are working out some like fat.
Chris Harrison is behind the scenes catching everything on fire. ABC's lot is literally ash right now.
But for real, I wonder if they're gonna like secure some sort of crazy what do you call it, like when you let some go and you give them like the money when they go?
Oh yeah, I don't know this legal talk, but I just picture Chris Harrison. I just have this image in my mind, and I don't know, maybe I'm a psychic. Maybe this is a psychic vision, but I'm picturing Chris Harrison chaining himself to the front doors of the Bachelor Mansion, going into the next season if they don't have him back.
Mm-hmm. I picture him being a limo driver in disguise. And he'll drive up one of the limos and he pops out and he's like, "You think you'd get rid of me that easily?"
The girls are just in. They're like, "Oh my God, I am so excited." No, it would be probably Michelle's season. So the guys are in there. They're like, "We are so excited to meet Michelle. What an amazing woman." And then Chris Harrison just turns around as the limo driver.
"Nothing good lasts forever."
And he turns around and he goes, we're not going to the mansion. You're getting held hostage by Chris Harrison himself. And he just takes a group of like 12 of the guys. There's helicopters all around LA. Chris Harrison has taken 12 Bachelor contestants.
I would be scared if I was taken hostage by him. Like, I would actually be really, really scared.
I'd be really worried. Lauren Zima comes in, like she's in a black trench. They're in like his underground bunker that he's been like perfecting for the past 6 months. Lauren Zima comes in.
Fallout shelter.
Yes, full trench coat. I just picture her with long red nails, just like, hello, boys.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. And she's got like this crazy like medieval kind of setup, like where
she is
like, she's like the dominatrix, like evil dominatrix queen.
She is also the one who's like the mole in the situation, where she is reporting the news, but she's also there.
Sources say it's her.
Sources say that Chris has been robbed, and we should have...
He's been a good company player for the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Something like that will probably happen. I have a feeling. Mm-hmm,
It wouldn't be the first time that we've prophesied something on this show.
I mean, I was going to say we've prophesied crazier, but probably
No, but we prophesied a lot.
It's true. And so, Chris, if you're listening,
don't do that.
Probably shouldn't do that, is what I'm saying. Maybe just take the settlement, or maybe just drop it and just let Taysha live.
Doesn't
and
he,
just
like,
let her
want
be.
to retire at some point? Like, he's older. He's got money in the bank. Go cash out.
Isn't he just happy writing his romance novels now? Right? I mean, he's just
by his side.
Shouldn't he just be like, maybe go get a vacation home somewhere in like Maui and continue to write like really creepy erotic novels?
Maybe he should just do like a talk show.
Yeah. I feel like, would anyone listen?
Maybe that's the next. Actually, I would prophesy this. His next move is starting a podcast.
I feel like that's probably a more likely prophecy. And what if him and Lauren start a podcast together? A couples podcast? Because he is the king of love.
If that happens, we got to have the broads. Let's have the broads blow them up, like blow up their social media and be like, get Chatty Broads on on the podcast.
Becca, what would you even say? Like, I would want to have them on as an exclusive, because I'd be like, I need to get this and I need to interview the shit out of you guys and just like come for CH, but I would not even know how to begin.
No. And let's be real. They would never in a million years be on our podcast or let us on theirs. Very true. But I love the idea of the broads just harassing them relentlessly on social media. But like for having everyone phrase it just like, oh my God, like the broads love you. You should have them on the podcast.
Anytime they post anything for their podcast, it's just all just tags of @Chatty Broads.
What did we used to say about him like a year ago, like before all of this? Like, what were you saying? We were just like, oh, he's holding on too long. He was trying to be cool and hip.
Yeah, well, you know what it was? Is he started to get a little spicy.
Yes.
He was starting to get a little mouthy, and it was like, what happened? Like, he went from kind of being like just the host who was like, well, it's the final rose, and what do you think about that, Caitlyn? What do you think about that, Nick? To kind of like
inserting himself,
also shading the contestants. And then like in interviews too, you'd hear him and he'd be like very clearly have opinions about specific contestants and like throw it out there. And you were like, this is a new take.
That was when Lauren Zima unfollowed me?
I think so. It was around that time.
It's iconic.
That is pretty iconic.
Thank you.
Did Chris Harrison ever follow you?
Yeah, I think at one point.
And then he unfollowed.
He probably unfollowed me a long ass time ago. Let's be real. Probably like right after I didn't do Paradise or something.
Yeah, they were angry. They were very angry.
Remember when I told you that he was like, or not, I told you it happened when he was like, oh, maybe we just rewatched it. Gray and I did when we were watching the season, how he was like, we're going to be seeing you on a beach this summer. And like, I hadn't had any talks and I was like, how dare you?
You're like,
I didn't agree to shit.
Excuse me. There have been no papers signed, my guy. Don't put that pressure on me.
Back the fuck off. You think I'm so thirsty to be on your fucking show? Bitch.
I remember that though. The way that he said it, I was like, oh, she's for sure going on Paradise.
I was so pissed about that.
I remember actually talking to you
I was like,
after
I was probably no!
After I watched that and I was like, are you all like set up for paradise? And you were like, no. I don't know why that was said.
I didn't like that. Okay. So anyway.
So maybe some other people who are currently mad at the franchise.
Please not. Are we going to talk about Matt and Rachel? I don't want to talk about them.
No, we're not talking about Matt and Rachel. Jed, another wonderful topic of conversation. I just have to say, Broads, I don't know if you remember, it's been months now. Jed went on social media, him and Dylan.
The momentum has been a little lost.
The momentum had been lost. Dylan was hyping it up, saying that there was all these lies about Jed and blah, blah, blah. And then Jed was like, I'm dropping a podcast in like 48 hours and I'm going to like let everybody know what the truth is. And I was I wasn't excited about listening to Jed, but I was very curious.
You're hyped.
I was hyped. And then it just never came out. And he really didn't address it for months. And then finally someone asked in an Instagram, like a question series.
When's the podcast
coming out? And then he said like, oh, it'll be out soon. And then he finally dropped the podcast. He addressed what was going on for maybe about 1 minute. And he said that he was going to let everyone know about like his truth in the situation. He's like, but then I had to consider the lawsuit and the people who I would be getting into a lawsuit with and if it was worth it.
No, duh.
I'm like,
you probably should have thought of it.
I'm like, dude, you just kind of like went ham and then just decided that you were going to have this podcast where you were going to spill everything and probably like tons of stuff that you were going to just line yourself up for a lawsuit.
You thought that was just going to go well?
No. And especially you're like promoting it on your Instagram and everyone is just like posting about it and you're retweeting people posting about it and all this stuff. And then he's like, well, I actually then thought about who I was going to get into a lawsuit with. And he's like, I think that you can read between the lines that like why that decision had to be scrapped, at least for right now. So Jed's podcast is just Jed talking to Jed's friends. So I will not be tuning in. Let me know if... Now, bless you.
Thank you. Jess and I had sort of discussed this and I'd be curious to hear other listeners' thoughts, but my thought was maybe like, okay, who leaked the thing of a Jed having a girlfriend?
Reality Steve.
Okay, it was, right? I was like, that wasn't even a hypothetical. I was just like,
yeah.
Or not a hypothetical. That wasn't a rhetorical question. Okay, that's what I thought. And so like Jess and I had just kind of toyed with the idea, like, maybe things were not as they seemed and maybe production might have known that and might have ran with it anyway to give Hannah Brown this like boss ass moment. Just a thought. A thought.
We really don't know. I would think production would want it to be a happy ending because there hadn't been for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah. I will say I was never a Jed fan. I don't think I'm ever going to be a Jed fan.
No, we both were like, who the fuck is this guy?
We were not fans. But I will say, after all of the Reality Steve raging bullshit that came out, it does make me scratch my head and think maybe there was truth in it and maybe there was also some fabrication.
Yes.
Like, I don't doubt that there was truth in it because we had the interviews from his ex-girlfriend and all that. But I also wonder if there was things that were added to it that were not real.
What I wondered in particular about was like the text exchange.
Yes.
And again, like as we've seen, like text exchanges can be very, very easily fabricated. So it sort of like made me wonder, like maybe this was a girl he was dating, but maybe this whole thing of like, I'm leaving in the plane now, babe. Like, don't worry, I'll be back in a few weeks for my car. I'd have to go back and look at it. But remember how the texts were something like, I'm doing this for my music career, babe. Don't ever forget that.
They were kind of strange. I mean, now granted, I feel like Jed kind of would say things like that sometimes where you were like, okay, drama.
Yes.
But okay, this isn't A Star Is Born and like you could turn down the drama like just a tiny bit.
Right.
But I agree with you. It just, now that this whole thing is out about Reality Steve and we've realized all of the nonsense that was spit as fact from Reality Steve and how easily the man could be convinced that texts were real, i.e. Jenna Cooper.
Right.
It makes you wonder It really does. It makes you wonder. And so I'm not curious to hear Jed's take. And I am bummed that was not brought up. He said, he's like, maybe one day he'll be willing to share it. And I'm like, great. Like 80-year-old Jed, like when we're all in our deathbeds, is going to be like, I just needed everyone to know.
Do we know what happened with Luke's lawsuit?
No. That's an interesting one for me. I would like to find out more info. Broads, if you know any more info about Luke, because that was intense. I believe, well, I don't know if it was followed through. I know that they were suing him. I think it was for $100,000.
He was ordered to pay $100,000 for breaching the contract.
That's really scary.
Yeah, how did we not talk about this? This happened October 2020.
I didn't know that he
Oh my God, dude. This is for making unauthorized media appearances while under contract. Like, this is the shit that I did.
That's what he got sued for?
Yes! They made a fucking example. That is, I'm sorry.
Like, they made an example out of him.
That's fucked up, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
They took somebody who they knew everyone couldn't stand, and they made an example out of him. And they probably would have done it with Jed if Jed would have. And Jed didn't do that. If we remember, Jed went pretty under the radar and got real quiet for a while.
In signing the waiver, Luke Parker agreed to not make any media appearances from the date of the agreement through 1 year after the date of the initial broadcast of the final episode of the series. It prohibited him from making any authorized use or disclosure of any info or events he witnessed or learned as a contestant. See, this isn't why you gotta read the agreement. I don't even remember this.
Or you can't. Because I had no idea any of these things.
Listen to how crazy this agreement is. You agree not to make any negative or disparaging remarks about the series or its principals, aka like the leads, employees, or affiliates at any time.
First of all, it sounds like a cult. I'm going to put that out there. Becca, do you think they threw a different contract at him? Do you think they throw different contracts at villains?
I mean, I could look at my contract. I have my contract in my email.
Because, like, I know that you went on and you did interviews and you made statements about things that they weren't happy about.
Like you said, like, are they really going to try to, you know...
But if they tried to go after you and they tried to sue you for that, at the time, like, you had just come off the show, you were really liked on the show,
right?
Like, that probably wouldn't have been a wise move for them, because then you could have gone on and been like, they're suing me because of this, and that would have probably made them look really bad. But with Luke talking about making an example out of him, no one liked Luke. Everyone was team Hannah. Everyone was anti-Luke because of all of his fuckery on the show.
Yeah.
And then so it's like they could go out and they could actually flex and actually follow through with a lawsuit on someone like him and not get flack. And clearly it's gone completely under the radar. Like, we've barely heard about this.
$100,000.
That's so much money.
I just think that's fucked up.
That's so much money, dude.
For doing something that every other contestant does at some point or another. Not every other, but a lot of contestants do at some point or another. Did you know this is the agreement? I'm looking at actually my Bachelor in Paradise agreement. It says, no time will I threaten, encourage, or engage in any type of physical confrontation, which is interesting because that's definitely
so they didn't sue Jordan.
No, right. Or Grocery Store Joe and Leo. That was another one I remember. Or threatening. I guess that's also Chad.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? You'd think Chad would be getting lawsuits left and right. He threatened Chris Harrison.
Okay, this is like a fucking 20-page contract. But this is the thing that stood out to me that I was just reading. This is so wild. Oh my God. Okay. Basically, you're granted rights to, where is it? Your appearance, statements, actions, voice, sound effects in connection with the series, including without limitation any act, poses, plays, vocals, instrumentals, musical and other sound effects and compositions of any kind or nature, aka they can splice up your audio to say like literally anything. Basically, yeah, blah, 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 blah. All this constitutes material, and that material can be used at any time like throughout the series. Like that to me is so crazy. They're basically like literally they could splice up every single word you say and construct you saying whole sentences throughout the whole season. You can't do shit about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, you just sign it because, like I've said in the past, if you don't sign it,
they're not gonna let you on. Yeah, they'll get someone else to sign it. And like also, I mean, how many people? You know what this says, broads? Quick tip. This is an example of if you're deciding to ever go on a reality show or anything like that, like, you know, get maybe a lawyer or someone to look through the contract to just really explain everything to you so you at least know what you're getting yourself into.
Or what not to do, like Luke. Like it does say here explicitly you have to have a written consent for every single media appearance you're on.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess he
I didn't do it either, but still $100,000. Wow. Anyway.
Well, that would scare me if I was going on the show now. I would literally just like not even do any appearance. I would just be too scared.
But like you're saying, I don't think they would do this to anyone except someone like Luke P. Or Jed. I think they'd probably do it to Jed.
Yeah.
If he did some crazy
and like I said,
Jed
went like under the radar big time after the show. And I don't feel like he did any appearances at all. Yeah. Which is probably
didn't improve any.
It's probably it's probably also just the smart move. Because it's like if you feel like regardless of what happened, let's just say everything was true. He was a raging douchebag, cheating on whoever and just being the worst. It's just, you know, people want to defend themselves. Right. And like, if you're not supposed to say anything negative or behind the scenes about like production, like how are you supposed to do that? You're just asking for a lawsuit. Wow.
Anyway. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is what I've been dying to talk about with you.
2 quick Bachelor things.
Okay.
2 very quick.
Okay, let's move it. Guys, okay, I'm dying to talk about fucking Chrissy Teigen.
Becca wants to talk about Chrissy Teigen. I want to talk about Chrissy Teigen. Just
2 other
Bachelor things. First and foremost, the list of Katie's men have been released.
Boom, baby.
We have all of the men. We also
do we have full info?
What?
Do we have full info on them?
We have a lot of info on them, yes. And they also like posted this thing on social media that has like a man and then 3 fun facts about him. And they were, in my opinion, some of the strangest facts that could have ever been. Like most of them were like, he likes dogs. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, come on. Like his favorite dessert is ice cream. I'm like, thanks so much for really letting us get to know these men.
You know, I'm kind of feeling like us and the bros should do 2 separate episodes doing the cast list because I kind of want to see what overlap we have.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
I mean, or we could do it together. But I sort of had this thought of like, what if we get the same read on like the same people?
That would be actually very interesting. They might. Well, but we will be doing a cast list. Broads, I know, and that's why I wanted to bring it up because the broads, you've been making sure that we're going to be doing this cast list, and we would absolutely never. It's the favorite time of year.
The cast list gets me hype.
In fact, I'm wondering if we do it with the bros, like we've done the past 2. Maybe we should because we end up going so long. Maybe we should break it into 2 episodes and like give the broads double trouble. Like
I
let's give you some more.
Okay, that's actually a good idea because always we want to just wax poetic on every single contestant, and with like 30 people, it's a lot. That's a good idea.
Because sometimes I feel like we brush over people, and then I wish we would have talked more about them. But we're on hour 2.5, so maybe we could just break it up into 2 separate episodes.
I like that.
Okay,
that way we don't get any energy lost by the time we get to Victor, who's letter V in that alphabet.
And then poor Victor ends up getting really grumpy, tired ass.
Victor looks like a nice guy, and I bet he loves his mom. All right,
for Victor. Okay, we're wrapping it up. No, maybe we do 2-part and give an equal amount of attention and love and care and judgment to all of them.
That's a great idea.
Okay. And then my other thing that I did want to say. So I know we were talking about Mike Johnson and who he may be interested from on Pete season because he did throw that out there. And I was throwing around Piper's name.
Yes.
Which might be true. Maybe he was interested in Piper.
Yes.
But.
Yes.
Broads.
Yes.
Piper has been spotted out with Brendan holding hands.
What?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
How have I not heard about any of this? I think it's probably because I unfollowed all the Bachelor accounts. Because oh my god,
yes. So, I hope we adore Mike, so we hope, and Mike actually is going to be on in a couple weeks in person. We finally get to hang out in person with Mike, and we can ask him about it. But
dude, that's crazy. I had no idea.
And I hope that wasn't who he was, just like so had his heart after, because we love him and we want him to get everything his heart desires. But Piper and Brendan, okay. For some reason, I hadn't been thinking about Brendan. He's just so quiet and he's so not social media engaged that I kind of forgot about Brendan. And I'm like, oh my God, our love, Brendan.
I literally thought about him at the beginning of this episode because of something that you said about some cast. And I was like, oh, Brendan, like, wonder where he's at.
Yeah, he's just so quiet on social media.
Hot couple.
I mean, hot couple. Love that. Love that couple together. So now I'm wondering, will they go on Paradise, or will they be like, nah, we're like a fish, and we're not going to go on Paradise? And also, Piper had been one of the contestants who said she was not comfortable going on Paradise if Chris Harrison was going to be hosting.
Interesting.
So maybe they're like, nah, fuck that.
Bye.
We are dating. We are not participating in this absolute shit show, and are just going to go off and have their love together. And we love to see it.
Love to see it.
So interesting. Mm-hmm. So that's enough Bachelor news for now.
I have something else I want to talk to you about too. I'm wondering if I should bring it up now or after we talk about it. No, I should bring it up now if I want to talk about it on this episode.
Okay.
Actually, I'm like debating whether or not to bring it up. I'll just tell you what it is because I feel like it's kind of controversial.
Oh my God.
My take on it might be like kind of controversial. Okay, basically, you know how Courtney and Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian have been all in the news a whole bunch.
Okay.
Someone else who has been a lot in the pop culture news is Travis Barker's 15-year-old daughter, whose name is Alabama Barker.
Yes.
Because there's always like back and forth about her stuff. Ugh, it's such a mess. I feel so bad.
With her
mom. And then she's saying stuff about her mom and commenting back to people. And then her mom's commenting back to people on Instagram. I'm just like, guys, you get off social media talking about your family stuff. Embarrassing for the mother, really. Like, I don't know what the truth is for everything, but I'm like, don't be replying to people on your IG comments about your relationship with your daughter.
It's so messy.
Oh my God. Regardless, though, have you been on her Instagram?
The mother.
No,
Alabama. I have not.
I want you to go on.
Okay. I feel so nervous. I
want you to go on, and I want to have like a conversation about having a daughter of my own. I am just like...
How old is she?
She just turned 15 less than 6 months ago.
Okay, wow.
And I just like want to talk about this with someone because like I'm like, how, let me just give the rundown, broads, in case you can't be on your phone right now. It's Alabama Luella Barker. It's Travis Barker's daughter. And her Instagram, dude, is like 28-year-old, like
very
IG
sexy
model, very sexual.
Yeah.
Makeup outfits, content, all of that. And I just want to talk about it because like, I never wanted to, like, growing up as someone who is not allowed to like wear bikinis and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, how do we navigate like our children? Let's say that, our children want to be, like sexual, bodacious, like, like every kid wants to express their like gender in a certain way, like if my daughter wants to be like super hyper, like I don't even know what the right words are to use, but basically like, how do you navigate that on social media in a way that's also like protecting your child's like childhood innocence in a way, because the world like sexualizes us from the time we're like children. And it's just like, I was looking at her Instagram, I'm just like, dude, this makes me like really, really sad. But I'm also not sure, like, is that not the right take? And it's just like, it was very confusing to me to scroll through her Instagram and be like, how would I handle this like with my own daughter? And like, like, dude, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's you know what? That is such an interesting like just in general conversation, because
Right, 'cause
she's one I've seen a lot of,
sure.
it's, you know what I'll say, it's like the TikTok generation now, right? So it's a lot of like 14, 15-year-old kids, boys and girls, who are like very, I don't know the correct words to use, but like provocatively, dancing, dressing. And
It's sexual. It's like very sexual in nature.
It is tough because it's like there's the one side where, like you were saying, it's like being raised in a super conservative home where you didn't feel comfortable expressing your sexuality and the things you were feeling, and didn't feel safe to do that. And then there's also the piece of like the empowerment of like, I feel these things, I'm a human being and I want to express them. And I think that there should be like a celebratory piece to like the way that we feel and how we want to express ourselves. But like you said, at the same time, when the world, specifically with the girls, are sexualizing them from such a young age. And also I just as a parent, you know, I'm looking at it and I'm going like, oh my God, like I just think about the amount of, older men who, I don't know. That's such a tough
That's
one.
What freaked me out about it, because, and that's what
I
really got me
would be
thinking.
worried about the safety of my
exactly,
child. I would be
because
scared for the safety.
That's what I was thinking. And I was thinking like as a child, because when you're 14, 15, you're a child.
Yeah.
At that age as a child, I of course loved any kind of attention I received. And I'm sure that if I was doing what she was doing, I would be loving like the sexual attention I would be receiving, just via DMs and stuff, and be like, oh my God, you're so sexy. I would love to whatever. I would enjoy that as a teenager. I thought that made me special.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're young and naive and your brain is not fully developed, when someone is grooming you,
yes,
or saying you're different, you're so mature for your age, all those sort of things, you are so vulnerable that you're just like, I am, you know, and like this person really, I'm different, and this it's grooming, it's grooming 101, and so that's where I'm like, how do we not do this prohibitive, I don't know if that's the right word. I don't even know if that's a word. Prohibitive thing, you know what I'm talking about though, of like saying, no, you can't wear that, or you can't post that.
Right.
And I guess the easy answer is just trust, so that your child is honest and forthcoming with you about like if people are messaging them and that kind of thing, and teaching them like internet safety. But also I'm like, fundamentally, like where my gut goes to, probably because the way that I was raised, is like, no, you cannot have extensions down to your knees and have your boobies all pressed up to your chin and be posting you licking your finger on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but how do I not go to that gut reaction, but like still find a way to protect them from?
I don't know.
Right?
I mean, I feel like, and maybe this is super naive of me to say, but I feel like as a parent, if you're having really active, honest conversations, and also like judgment-free conversations, where from a young age you are talking about sex and talking about misogyny culture and talking about the dangers of that, and having these really open, honest conversations, that then maybe, because at the age of, you know, even at the age of 14, 15, like, and you're still a kid, I do feel like if my mom were to have a active, open conversation with me, I could definitely understand the bones of that idea of the scariness of it, of grooming and all that. Now, granted, like, you know, when that gets put in action, that's a very different thing. But I don't know. I guess it's just like having a really, like from a young age, having a really active conversation. And instead of it being like, you can't post that, it being kind of like, let's talk about it before you post it.
Yeah. And I think that the only thing that scares me about that is that I remember having conversations like that with my mom. Yeah. And I thought I was way smarter than her.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
Yeah, it's like you don't feel like your parents understand social media, and they're like, well, everybody else is doing it, and da-da-da.
Yeah, or like, you don't understand like how it's so cliche, but I remember feeling this way of like, oh, well, the way that like Connor treats me is like different than that. Because like it's me and it's him and it's different. And, you know, he's 25, but like we have like a special connection.
Yeah, I definitely think that I feel like those are almost then, I mean, it all ends up interweaving because then you're having DMs and like the people who are viewing the content. But I feel like that those would probably have to just be like two very different conversations, like grooming for one thing versus social media. Because I think if you at least would have a active conversation about like the DMs that your child is receiving, you'd at least maybe have an idea of what was going on that end. But I don't know. That's such a good question,
right?
B. And, you know, I haven't really, like, I've had those moments where sometimes I see some of these young kids. Like, well, I don't even realize how young they are because everyone looks so old. And so I'm just like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. And then I'll find out and I'm like, oh, wow. And I have this kind of, if I'm being honest, I have this like inner battle where I almost feel guilt processing it because I'm like, I would want to make the right call, and I want to make the right call with my kid because you and I weren't allowed to express ourselves in that way. And there was also so much shame in that.
Right.
Like it's shameful that you would want to show your body. It's shameful if you do. And then I also that conversation too went beyond age.
Yes.
It was like, even when you're married and like 30, it's shameful if you were to show your body. Sex work is shamed and all these things, right? So it wasn't even almost about my age. It was just about me being a woman in general.
That's what I was wondering too. What kept playing in the back of my head was like, maybe this just comes to a conversation about age appropriateness and setting a boundary as an adult, as a parent, just being like, we don't feel like you wearing this right now is age appropriate because like people might treat you as though you're older, even though you're not. And that could put you in situations that could be potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, and like that seems like a really like, I know this is upsetting for you, but we just feel like this could put you in situations where people might try to take advantage of you because you might like look or appear to be older than you are.
That feels like that's a healthy way to go about it to me. Because like the last thing that I would ever want to do with my child is to make them feel shame in any way
or
about
demonize something
their
that's
body.
Not wrong.
Exactly. But yes, age, consent, grooming, this is such an important big thing. And where do you find that balance? And I feel like that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. I would be interested to talk to an expert if anyone has any people to send.
Please.
Also talking about, this is a whole other ball game that we could get into, but I've also been really concerned lately about like how like the consumption of porn for really young kids and how like my neighbors' kids, you know, like some of them are like 10 and, you know, they'll find like a private browser on the phone, that kind of thing. And thinking about how to have healthy conversations, because I just think of this new wave, a whole generation of young men who are growing up from like 9 or 10 watching, you know, the stuff that's on mainstream Pornhub is super violent, a lot of times really violent, aggressive, not modeling consent and healthy boundaries. And this is, I sound like such a boomer, but like how to treat someone right, you know, and like with respect. And so just because of my own encounters that I've kind of talked about with certain men where it's not even actually about like the acts themselves, but about how to approach someone with respect to make sure that they feel comfortable and safe. It's not about what you're actually doing. It's about making sure the person is comfortable and safe with that before proceeding. Anyway, I'd love to talk to an expert about like, how can we have those conversations with our kids so that we don't have a whole, you know, generation of kids that are being taught by something that can be super, super like destructive and harmful.
Yeah. I would love to have that conversation.
And about all that stuff. Because all that,
all of it, even like just, even just really young kids on social media, like where, you know, just finding the balance in things.
Yeah. And like, even what about the things, you know, the Instagram accounts that your child might follow, you know? How is that all these kind of things?
And I'm so worried about it as a parent now with like our kids getting older, because I want in every way her to feel safe and not feel shame and not feel judged, and be able to express herself and also explore her curiosities. But at the same time, I want her to be safe.
Right.
And I want her to know boundaries.
Exactly. And that's where I'm like, I'd love to talk to someone about that, because that's what it all comes down to, right? Like, you can have the trust, the dialogue, but as the parent, you still have to set healthy, age-appropriate boundaries to like protect them, you know, because they're still a child.
Yeah.
And like how to do that. Anyway, sorry. Got off on a whole tangent,
I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's, like I said, I'll sometimes see on social media, and I have like this, like, oh gosh, and then this feeling of like inner war in myself of like, oh, that they shouldn't be doing that. But then I'm like, yeah, but then they shouldn't be feeling shame about their body, and they should be feeling like, you know, comfortable. It's all 1,000 things in my head.
Like, why does this not feel right?
Right. And I'm like, is it my past shame? Yeah. Is it conditioning? Am I being like, is this wrong on my, like, yeah, you're processing all those things. Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's like, I know that's definitely something that...
It's food for thought.
Food for thought.
I know.
Big time.
Anyway, all right, so now Chrissy Teigen.
Let's talk about...
Before we do that, quick pause.
Yes, let's take a quick pause, because we are going to have some chats about the Chrissy Teigen. So, broads, I do feel like we've been saying this for a while now, but it's finally really officially happening. The world is opening back up. Yes. So obviously I'm quickly trying to find myself some styling 101 classes, because after 18 months of wearing matching sweatsuits, I need a little reminder of how to put together a great outfit, whether I'm in sweats, leather shorts, or a floor-length freaking ball gown. I can always count on my Majori pieces to elevate and put together any look.
Majori makes fine jewelry for every day. So yeah, if you're lounging on the house or if you're on a first date, the same Majori pieces are going to work for both occasions. This is perfect, because once you see them, you're never going to want to take them off anyways. I can attest to that firsthand. Majori pieces are the perfect mix of timeless and trendy. I'm wearing one right now.
Me too.
And are all handcrafted with premium materials like 14 karat solid gold, sterling silver, pearls, even diamonds. And if you're looking to build your jewelry collection, Majori is the perfect place to go. Each week they drop new pieces. You're going to have lots of fresh designs to choose from. But they all mix and match and pair perfectly together for years to come. You know, it's like the perfect way to build your jewelry collection, because everything's sort of like interchangeable and just like flows, but it's still unique. Anyway, looking good has never been so effortless. Thank you, Majori.
Stacking for days always. And thanks to Majori, you can treat yourself without breaking the bank. Typical fine jewelry markups are close to 10 times the cost. 10 times, broads. That's actually wild. Majori cuts out the middleman and sells directly to their customers, and you end up paying a fraction of the cost. If that's not a win-win, I don't know what is.
Head to majori.com/chatty for 10% off your first order. That's MEJURI.com/chatty for 10% off your first order.
Broads, if you keep up on superfoods or wellness trends, then you know there's a star of the show right now, and that's collagen powder. And I won't lie, I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to quote unquote miracle powders or whatever you want to call them, but I have been using collagen powder for the past year, and broads, sound the alarm, because I am obsessed.
Yes. I've been putting them in my smoothies every morning. They're the Ancient Nutrition collagen powder. Anyway, I'm happy for the change of heart. I personally love it. The most important thing when using collagen is finding quality, and that can be tough because there's a lot of options out there. But broads, because we love you, we're going to let you in on a little secret. The best collagen on the market by far is, well, I already dropped their name. I already said it at the beginning of this.
You spilled the tea.
Whatever. It's Ancient Nutrition.
Ancient Nutrition.
Only collagen out there with clinically studied ingredients that have proven results. Plus it's unflavored, which means you can just add it to just about anything. Like I was saying, I throw mine in my morning smoothie. If you're running late, you can even add it straight to your morning coffee.
That's what I've been doing.
Boom, baby.
I've been just putting in my
Boom,
coffee.
Baby.
It's incredible. And now that I know Ancient Nutrition products are the best on the market, I get so many other things from them. The quality is amazing because they test rigorously and repeatedly for purity, which if you know anything about wellness and supplements, you know that is not the norm, unfortunately. I'm loving their protein powders lately, but there are so many amazing products to choose from. You just have to go on their website, broads, and scroll. You're going to just have a field day. They're fantastic.
Right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 20% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com and enter promo code CHATTY at checkout. That's ancientnutrition.com. Enter promo code CHATTY for 20% off your first order. Ancientnutrition.com. Enter promo code CHATTY at checkout.
Okay. Let's finally dive into Chrissy Teigen.
Okay, first of all, let's just get this off our chest. You and I have never been fans of her.
We've never been fans of Chrissy Teigen.
I just found this out the other day, and I felt like a soul sister connection.
We just had like a kindred moment. Because it's true. With Chrissy Teigen, a lot of my friends were always like huge fans of hers. And I'll be real, broads. My first interactions with Chrissy Teigen, other than
my first interactions with Chrissy,
interactions with CT, besides knowing obviously that she was John Legend's wife, were seeing her tweets. And I'll be real with you, I remember seeing some tweets that were funny. And then I remember seeing some tweets that honestly like made me feel a little uncomfortable.
This is like back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting perspective.
It just felt like, listen, this is Chatty Broads. We love a hot take here. We know, that we love, giving people a hard time sometimes. We love to take it. We love to dish it sometimes. Like, it's fun. And I'm all about that. And I'm all about like, some gentle ribbing occasionally.
But sometimes you're just like, ugh. Whoa.
No, but I remember feeling a little uncomfortable. I remember feeling like, I don't know if this is the correct term, but you know that term punching down? Like when you have someone who...
As opposed to punching up?
Exactly.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like if we're making fun of, let's say, Taylor Swift.
Yes, that's punching up because she's way more famous than we are, right? But like if I'm like making fun of this like random girl that I bumped into wherever who I'm whatever, I don't know.
It's kind of like the Demi Lovato Froyo situation. It's like you're...
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like this mega
way out of this person's
superstar,
league.
and this is a person that has like a mom and pop shop. They do well, but they're not Demi Lovato.
Right.
So like you're tagging their yogurt shop. It feels like you're punching down, and then you have all of your people coming for them. You have like your like millions of followers who then are forming these big opinions. That's why it's like even with this podcast, and we've made these mistakes before in our podcast, but like there's sometimes the realization of like, okay, there's a certain amount of people who listen to this. So it's important to sometimes, even if you're having fun, you're joking around and you're stating your big opinions, to be careful what you say, because you have people then who just take what you say as God's truth and then like run with it.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing that with Chrissy Teigen about like a lot of reality TV stuff where I'd see comments that I was a little bit like, whoa, that was really intense. And it made me feel a little uncomfortable. So when everyone was always like, oh my God, she's so funny. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing the funny tweets. And obviously she's stunning. So it's like, there's that too. But I remember never being a fan because I was like, I don't know. I don't like some of these.
Well, let's get into some of the reason I didn't like her is, to me, she was just like J-Law, but like, like a thinly veiled J-Law kind of thing of like, I'm an every mom kind of person. Like my kid's diaper is always on the blue line. And I'm like, okay, and what about the 5 nannies that could change said diaper like at any moment?
You're like, if we're going to have an honest conversation, let's have an honest conversation.
She just has always struck me as that person who's just like super, and see, it's kind of rich, because then of course I try to come across sometimes as like the super relatable, whatever. But she always does that kind of thing, like Jennifer Lawrence was like, oh my God, one time I ate a whole can of Pringles before getting on the red carpet.
Yeah, and you're just
like whoa, you're crazy.
As I slowly put my Pringles down that I've just
or like a what was the one Gwyneth Paltrow that the bros were just talking about, where it's like I went crazy with bread during quarantine.
The pandemic was absolutely insane. I drank quinoa based whiskey and I ate pasta, and you're like, people died.
You're also like, okay, bitch, and I eat half a loaf of sourdough every fucking morning. Exactly. You think you're special?
Is this supposed to be shaming?
I'm confused.
Are you shaming my pasta habits?
When she said she went crazy with pasta, is this a good thing? Is this some sort of like new diet that's like keto but with carbs?
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh,
anyway,
Lord.
It's always like that kind of thing, where it's just like hashtag like relatable mom life, whatever. I was just kind of like, all right, I get the shtick.
Yeah.
You're like so famous and rich. Like you're just, I feel like you have to get like, so you have to be at when you get to such a point of wealth and fame, you just have to almost do a hyper self-awareness where you're like, you almost have to do a parody of yourself where you're like, oh, well, my 7 house cleaners today said that I could take the day off.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're so right. You have to be so self-aware. With great power comes great responsibility. Yes. You have to be really self-aware. It's so true. It's like, okay, you can be, and there are definitely things that you can be relatable about, right?
Sure.
And there's conversations that you can have that it's like, hey, I just wanted to put this out here and be honest with you.
Which she has done that in really great ways about like her fertility issues and pregnancy loss and all that kind of thing
But yeah,
that's relatable. So regardless of all that stuff, whether you were a CT stan or CT stan or not, that's neither here nor there, because let's talk about some of her internet goings on.
Yes.
How does these surface, by the way? Was someone just like, by the way, she's problematic? Like, what happened
I believe,
here?
well, you know what I did read is I did read from a couple articles that there have been a few people, like journalists, who have attempted to take on Chrissy Teigen over the past few years, who were like, there are these loads of tweets that are completely out of line and not okay. Yes.
Who is Nikki Swift? Is that someone?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either, but I found their blog from 2017 that said shady things about Chrissy Teigen everyone just ignores.
I saw numerous of those, and I think there were numerous journalists who are a little bit like, hey, everybody, just quick check here. She just said this yesterday, and somehow,
none of you give a shit?
No one, she's just kind of being like, it's just being ignored, and she's just continuing to get praised, but there's also no accountability to these things that are being said. And why is that? And yeah, so it's been going around for a while, but wasn't getting picked up really. But then Courtney Stodden, who, I don't know, Broads, if you know who Courtney Stodden is, she was a reality TV star. And she got really famous for, at the age of 16, marrying her acting teacher.
Courtney Stodden, by the way, now identifies as non-binary, so it uses they, them pronouns.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you so much. So Courtney Stodden...
I remember this, by the way.
Oh,
I
Courtney
remember
Stodden's
Googling.
story.
Yeah, I remember Googling them. I was really young and just being like, so fascinated. Like, I don't actually remember feeling any type of way. I was just young and very fascinated of like, look at this person's like voluptuousness. Very similar actually to
what we were just talking about.
This actually really ties in.
That's actually kind of wild how this all ties in.
I didn't even think about that.
Well,
but yes, break it down, please.
So they were started to date their acting teacher, who was a famous actor who I believe at the time when they began dating was like in his 50s.
Yeah, we're talking like, 35, maybe more years.
Yes, and ended up getting family permission to marry Courtney when they were at the age of like 16, I believe. So 16. Obviously it was news.
Yeah, it wasn't even legal. It was like their mom had to like sign off on it type thing. Yeah. And Courtney was very like buxom, blonde, bodacious, very sort of like this cliche kind of like Barbie doll blonde.
And then they started going on like different reality TV shows, sometimes alone, sometimes with their partner. And so, yeah, there was a minute where Courtney Stodden was actually in the media a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Courtney went on had an interview, and this is how this whole thing started to really get legs and be talked about a lot. Courtney said that Chrissy Teigen had posted tweets about them, but also slid into their DMs. And when sliding into their DMs, told Courtney to kill themselves.
Not only that, why can I not find it right now? Okay, so not only the sliding into the DMs thing, also let's just talk about the public tweets.
Yes.
Again. Okay. It's like, okay. Again, you don't, I don't doubt that at all, because the public tweets are at Courtney Stodden. My Friday fantasy, you, dirt nap. Baby. Courtney Stodden tweeted something, and then Chrissy responded, go to sleep forever. Courtney Stodden, what drug makes you do that with your mouth? Asking for a friend who really wants to know how to look like an idiot. Thanks. At Courtney Stodden, do you have a family? Just like this crazy fucking harassment.
Yeah, just trolling Courtney nonstop.
Yeah, and like, is telling someone to like kill themselves like trolling?
No, absolutely not.
Because like
that's violent harassment.
That's what she referred to as her. Okay, so
I'm saying a few of the ones that Chrissy Teigen mentioned what do you use or what do you do with your mouth?
Yes.
That's so mean and that's bullying.
Yeah,
but the telling someone to
kill and then in
themselves.
her apology, she said like, I was like a attention seeking troll, and it's like,
this is for me. First of all. It's like, okay, you're an attention-seeking troll. It's not trolling. You're completely right when you are saying these things to someone. But where I then go, I don't know how to take this in, is when you put together, this went beyond tweets and you were sliding into someone's private DMs, being violent with them. And at the time, too, Chrissy Teigen had been famous for numerous years, was engaged to John Legend. Like this was not, it wasn't like at this point, Chrissy Teigen, the modeling career hadn't taken off, wasn't famous and was trying to get attention and was like, whatever. It's like, no. You were famous already for numerous years. You were engaged to someone who was incredibly famous at the time.
And let's not forget, Courtney Stodden was 16.
16 years old.
So you're telling a 16-year-old to kill themselves?
And at the time, I believe Chrissy Teigen was 25 or 26.
Yeah, they're about 10 years apart. What the fuck? That's like so like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay, not only that, but there's plenty of other like little things about Chrissy Teigen, but even this one in 2013. So this is the year she married John Legend.
Yeah, they got married in 2013.
Yeah. Tweeted at Farrah Abraham, which granted, Farrah Abraham is a whole other thing, but she tweeted at her, "You're a whore and everyone hates you." It's like and then people were like, that's a little hypocritical considering that you've been on the receiving end of slut shaming for being a Sports Illustrated model.
Right.
And you're going to turn around being like, you stupid little whore slut kind of thing.
There's also tweets that Chrissy tweeted at Lindsay Lohan saying Lindsay adds a few more slits to her wrist when she sees Emma Stone.
Like, ew, that's not funny. Adds a few more, like joking about her self-harm.
I am not a fan of Republican politician Sarah Palin. But Chrissy Teigen tweeted at Sarah Palin, "I don't want much from Sarah Palin. I just want her to admit partial fault, then shoot herself in the face." Is that wrong?
Yes. Why did she
I'll answer your question. Yes. To Avril Lavigne, who, as far as I'm aware, Avril Lavigne is pretty unproblematic and stays out of a lot of drama. So I don't even know what this tweet is in reference to be honest.
Yeah.
But tweeted at Avril Lavigne, "If you told me I could have one kid, but it would be exactly like Avril, I would choose to have a barren, sterile existence that ends when I die." And it's just like, whoa, yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. Wait,
what? Okay, yeah. This is the Farrah Abraham one. I guess her name's Farrah Abraham. Is it Farrah Abraham? I don't fucking know. Farrah Abraham now thinks she is pregnant from her sex tape. In other news, you're a whore and everyone hates you. Whoops, not other news. Sorry. And then she tweeted again after people got mad. "Wow, amazed to see the outrage behind calling a staged leaked sex tape chick from Teen Mom exactly what she is. Go on with your bad selves." Like just doubling down and just being like, well, she is a whore and everyone hates her. Like, sorry, I'm calling a spade a spade.
And again, like you said, it's like when you have been on the receiving end of slut shaming also, it's like I said, it's a lot of this like, I never saw those specific tweets, but in a lot of the tweets, those ones are just like violent. But in a lot of the tweets I saw, it was the ones before that had made me uncomfortable years ago. Like I said, it was that punching down feeling where it was just like, Chrissy, you're so much more famous than Farrah or Courtney. Like, and in like these an A-list celebrity scene. Like,
yeah, I mean, even like with the A-listers though, like she tweeted, like, "Why is anyone surprised Mariah Carey is having twins? I was always pretty positive there were 2 to 15 babies growing inside of her." Is that like a fat joke?
I don't know.
Like, ew, just like ew. And then you know what also bugs me about this, and this is why I'm like, okay, fuck you, because Chrissy Teigen's also the kind of person where, granted, she's been on the receiving end of some like in the past year with the QAnon stuff, some crazy harassment.
Yeah,
Don't know if you follow that or not. We don't have to go into that. But regardless, she's been the person on and off for 10 years of just been like, wow, got to get off social media for a while because you guys, like, no one can take a joke, or like everyone's now ganging up on me. And it's like, yeah, but you've been the one on like, I think blowing full steam ahead, like harassing people.
I think with this specific year with Chrissy Teigen, Chrissy Teigen has been through horrific trauma with the loss of her child. And then all of the QAnon, all of that. And so when I saw that she had been posting that she was going to be getting off of social media, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're getting her, like, there's no way that I could ever handle that either. And so I want to acknowledge this year for her has been horrific. But these are tweets that were from years ago. And yeah, when I was going through and reading everything, it was like, I was reading from, like more like backstory on her. And this was like backstory that came out before all of this came out. But, you know, there's definitely things that like, I feel like could have like a really good active conversation about this, instead of just like the post that she threw up there and was like, I'm a troll, you know, whatever. Yeah. And then maybe her disappearing from social media. It's like, this would be such an opportunity to have like a really, really good conversation because, first of all, have no idea what it must have been like trying to break into the modeling, super modeling world as a woman of color when she did. At that, like, you know, thank God there's been at least a little more diversity and inclusion in the past couple of years. But when she was, I'm sure it was just absolutely terrible. So I'm sure that there's a lot of things built up. And I feel like there could be a lot of great conversation about like, I said these things and they're absolutely horrific. I need to acknowledge that when these things happened to me, they affected me in this, like these traumas affected me. And then the way that I executed them was by going after other people.
I don't think that's a good response.
Really?
No, because that's exactly what Taylor Nolan did.
No, I'm not talking about like that being the only response. Okay. I'm talking about having an active conversation about it. Right. So it's like, I just feel like it's important to, I don't know. For me, it's like there's this element of, it's the balance between like, you can't make an excuse for ever speaking to someone that way. These are horrible, despicable things that you're saying to somebody. But then because of her gigantic platform, I would think it would be like an opportunity to have an active conversation and not right off the bat be like, these are the reasons why I did this, but an ongoing conversation instead of just being like, I'm sorry, and then going silent for however long on Twitter, like she will, for people who follow her. Because it's like Twitter is literally like a hellhole of trauma, like everyone just being horrific to everybody. I feel like with all of her millions of followers, like it could be an opportunity for people to learn from this.
I get that. Do you know what I'm saying? But also I think like the reason I actually did like her apology, aside from the part where she like, I just felt like calling herself a troll was to me just like a bit of a minimization. But bless you. Okay. Aside from what I felt like was the minimization, just by calling it a troll thing.
Right.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Teigen took to Twitter to apologize. I'm mortified and sad at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll. I'm ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior, but that's nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel. Nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel. I've worked so hard to give you guys joy and be beloved, and the feeling of letting you down is... Okay, this was a weird one.
Yeah, that's what I remember, I don't like and that's what threw me off.
Okay. So Chrissy Teigen said, I have worked so hard to give you guys joy and be beloved, and the feeling of letting you down... And be beloved... It's just weird. And the feeling of letting you down is nearly unbearable, truly. These are not my only mistakes and surely won't be my last as hard as I try, but God, I will try. Okay, yeah, take out that sentence. As your PR person, take out that sentence. I have worked so hard to give you guys joy and be beloved. Okay. And the feeling of letting you down is unbearable, whatever. But I've tried to connect with Courtney privately, but since I publicly fueled all this, I also want to publicly apologize. I'm so sorry, Courtney. I hope you can heal now, knowing how deeply sorry I am. And I am so sorry I let you guys down. I will forever work on being better than I was 10 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago. I liked it aside from like a couple of those sentences I would have deleted. But I just feel like to talk about like, here's where I was at the time, really, even if it is like a couple weeks later, decenters like the main person who is, same with that one sentence, decenters the person who is hurt and on the receiving end of so much hatred. Like, I don't usually use that often, but like Courtney Stodden was on the receiving end of so much hatred as a child who they now have like said that it was like that they were groomed and like abused in that relationship. And like, so
just so much trauma.
Right. And it's crazy that people, it just says so much about society. It's really the same thing to me as like the Monica Lewinsky thing about how so many people came for her and her career was ruined, even though it was the much older president of the United States in a position of power who abused his position of power to have a sexual relationship with this woman. And it's the same thing with this of like, why was not everyone telling him to kill himself? Not that that's right, but like if someone's going to be receiving end on your hatred, it should probably be the person who's like 40 years older. It's so weird depending on a 16-year-old. And it's such a crazy misogynistic narrative to be like, she was throwing herself at him. She's such a slut whore. Like that's so crazy to me. Like if anything, you should be like, you fucking old creep. What the hell are you doing with the 16-year-old? It's so wild.
I completely agree with you.
Anyway, that was just a tangent about how much hate she was receiving at the time. But yeah, I just feel like to talk about what she was going through is like, no, it's already been enough about Chrissy. Let's not make it any more about Chrissy. That's my take on that.
I hear you. I guess for me, it's just more like looking at the situation or looking at the like, moving forward, which I can only imagine, maybe I'll be wrong, which I can only imagine will be after this apology, be silent on Twitter for like 6 months and then be back at it like per usual. And like maybe have like her lines back in Target. I mean, that's, I feel like what we see a lot is everyone just, it's like the Chris Harrison, I disappear and then I come back. And the work isn't shown to the public. And so I guess with the whole Chrissy piece where it's like she has this gigantic audience that I feel like there's an opportunity to use that as like being honest with like the work that she's doing. And then at some point then, you know, talking about the internalized things like when she was going through like in her modeling career and like, I don't know. I would never want it to ever, like, what I'm not saying is like taking that away. Like you said, like the idea of decentering right now, Courtney, and the absolute harm that was done through this is by no means what I'm saying. Right. But I'm just trying to think of a way that like,
this is what I would do.
Yeah.
I do not think it's appropriate personally, even though I may have done it myself. So, you know, I might have done it myself. Sorry. But in the future, remind me, guys, if I ever have to make some apology like this. Hopefully not. Personally, I don't think it's good to be like, oh, here's my story. That can be good, like maybe way down the road, like years down the road. But what I think would be more, if you do want to like use a teachable moment, would be like, let's talk about like internalized misogyny, not in terms of her specific experience of like, here's how I was on the receiving end of misogyny and hate. Instead being like, let's dissect the shit that I was saying. Like, why was I blaming this child and like calling them a whore, you know, like, and telling them to go die or whatever. Like, why did that make me so mad? Seeing this person who was on the receiving end of abuse, like, and that's so nasty because X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And like, here's where I should have been channeling my anger towards. But instead, because of all this crazy internalized misogyny, I was making the victim into the bad guy because of like, you know, the hatred that society because of this, and this fuels upon like young, vulnerable women.
No, I think you're right. You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're
like,
right. Yeah.
Decentering the conversation from like,
yeah, you're right.
And not that it has to all be about Courtney, but maybe make it not at all about Chrissy. That makes sense.
1000%. 1000%. I will say also, just a side note, Courtney did say after Chrissy tweeted that, that Courtney said that Chrissy Teigen blocked Courtney a long time ago on social media. And so Courtney was saying that they...
Wait, Chrissy blocked Courtney?
I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I do know, like, I'm 99% sure about that. Yeah. I might have reversed them, but I do know that Courtney said that they did not receive an apology. Which feels wild to, like, go on Twitter and be like, I tried to reach out. And then Courtney said something about, like, I guess you didn't try hard enough because, like, I'm still blocked and I didn't get an apology. So there's that.
Yikes.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, that's a wild move to go on social media to your millions of followers and being like, I attempted to reach out to Courtney and apologize, but I also wanted to apologize to all you, blah, blah, and like actually not doing that.
Huh. Like, my first instinct is like there must have been some sort of like miscommunication channel. Like maybe, I don't know. Like maybe the PR team was supposed to send an email and they forgot to do it. Right. I'm like, that seems like you said, like quite the audacity to say you're doing that and you don't.
They left one D at a Stodden when they were sending the email and they were like, whoops.
Maybe Chrissy's in your top requests in your DMs and you haven't seen it.
Maybe. But like that's what they said. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I'm really interested to see how Chrissy's going to move forward. I'm also interested to see if anyone else is going to come out and like talk about it.
What's wild to me is that like crazy conservatives are always like, cancel culture is so wrong. And then meanwhile, Candace Owens is like, look at what Chrissy Teigen tweeted 10 years ago. I'm like, you're the biggest hypocrite I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I think Candace Owens started a hashtag that said cancel Chrissy Teigen. And I was like, well...
But cancel culture, it only sucks if it comes from people that we like. It's so stupid.
I know. I was like, oh my Lord.
Such a fucking hypocrite. That's
oh my
so
Lord.
Wild.
But yeah, so we will see about that with Chrissy T. I mean, I know like we were saying all the lines, like the Target line was pulled, all that stuff was pulled.
She just says other stuff too, where she's just like, we're not allowed to have any hot drivers, chefs, nannies, like nothing. No one hot is allowed to be around John. And like, yes, maybe that's a joke, but like...
I wonder how John feels about all this. I would love to...
He's probably like, that's just Chrissy.
I always think about this, Becca. Anytime there's someone who all of a sudden things come up, especially if it's not like current, if it's like things from the past all of a sudden come up, the partner in the situation, that when I think about that always gives me wild anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, it like depends on the situation, right? Because like I always think like, oh, I don't think I've ever said anything like that, but what if for some reason I'm like blocking it out of my memory and it like, what if I really did say stuff like that?
Yeah.
You know, whatever. And then for me, if anything like that got surfaced, I would probably just be crying to be Gray and would be like, I don't remember saying this. This is so horrible. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure he would just be like, I'm so sorry.
I'm just thinking about like, let's just say all of a sudden all this shit came out about Evan. And like,
that's different. You've known him for a long time.
I know,
so then it would feel like it was some creepy secret thing.
Okay,
you know?
let's
That's
just say
different.
Evan and I met 2 years ago, or a few years ago, whatever.
What about maybe a close friend? Maybe you can think of like a close friend of yours.
But it feels different than a partner to me.
Okay.
Right? Because it's like we have a child together. We're living under the same roof. Like, you know, a friend, you're like, wow, that's heartbreaking. And like, maybe I didn't see that coming. And that's devastating. And like, how do we work through this? How am I, like, how can I be a friend to you, but also acknowledge all the harm that you've caused? And like, what does that look like? But with a partner, if I'm married to Evan for the past couple of years, and then one day all this stuff surfaced that he was tweeting these horrendous things and sliding into people's DMs and saying these horrendous things, I'll be real with you. I know people change. I'm not trying to say that that's not the truth, but I'm just saying for me personally, I don't know how I would ever look at him the same. Like, I'd have a really hard time looking at him the same way
See, the
again.
context of this is so hard too, because like it's the same with Gray. Like if Gray or Evan, some of this surfaced, it's hard to like decontextualize it, because with them, like they are so not the type of people who would do that. So like it would be really creepy if like I found out that Gray was DMing like 16-year-olds telling them to end their lives. Same with Evan. That would be like so out of character. Would be so shocking and creepy.
Yeah.
But like it's a little different because neither of them are like Chrissy Teigen. Not that I'm excusing her, but like she's the kind of person who's tweeting 5 tweets an hour and is just like making comments about pop culture all the time. Like,
but let's just say this. Let's just say in the home.
Yeah.
John Legend, he's just getting EGOTs. You know what I mean? He's just writing hits. And maybe maybe he pays zero attention to Chrissy's Twitter. And maybe at home she'll kind of go off on rants about whatever, but in general, maybe she's not the same as she is on Twitter.
I'm sure she has super edgy humor at home, probably way more edgy than what she tweets.
Probably.
That's usually how that goes. You probably say more shit offline than you do online.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, that's definitely like typically the thing. But I'm just saying, like, you never know, right?
Yeah.
And this is like a shock to him. Like, you said what to them? Are you kidding me? Like, how? I don't know. I just feel like. I just can't
imagine that being the case.
I can't wrap my brain around it. But that's what I'm saying. I always think about the partner in this situation because I always think about like, oh my God, what if like that were to happen to my partner and I am trying to think about like my children right now. And, the last thing that I'm processing is like, oh, my partner lost all these deals and now what? It's more like I'm looking at you and I have a relationship with you. And now these things came out that you said 10 years ago. And you're telling me you've changed and I want to say that's not who I know. That's not who you are in our home. And maybe you've done so much work and you really have changed. But if we haven't had conversations about the fact that you've changed, let's just say we're in the home and like my partner's actively talking about like, oh man, I used to hold these beliefs. I used to feel this way. I used to say shit like this. And I've been like, have actively worked on myself and I've like found out about these things. I found out all about these internalized things that I had. Then I'd be like, okay, this is a different way that we're moving forward now that I'm viewing you. But if I knew nothing of this and then all of a sudden that shit came out.
It's kind of the Taylor Nolan stuff.
Yeah, it's maybe similar to that. And it's like, I don't know how with my partner I'd be able to process.
Context is definitely everything. And like I'm saying, like with the Chrissy stuff, I'm sure she says much wilder shit at home. So I'm
probably, so now it's just probably not. It's probably not like.
I'm sure it's like. I'm guessing. I would be willing to bet it would be something like, "Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you delete that? Why did you do that? Really? How did you not remember that you said that kind of stuff? Like, why would you DM a person? Like, it's probably more of that kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
dude. You fucked up. It's like, it's probably that. It's probably not like, Christine. How could you? I would have never guessed from you.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't necessarily think it was that way with John and Chrissy. I just always have that thought whenever anything like this happens, when stuff comes out from numerous years ago. I always think about like, probably because I'm a narcissist and I just put myself in the exact position.
No, I'm an empath.
I'm an empath and I put myself in the exact position.
No.
So I just think about immediately like, what would this look like if that was my partner who those things were coming out about? Like, how would I handle it? Like, how would I move forward with this person?
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway,
don't envy those positions.
No. 1 or 2 more things before we wrap, just to make it a little lighter.
Okay.
The Friends reunion is coming out. Were you a Friends person? Did you watch Friends? Oh, Lord. All right. Never mind.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of something fun, I don't know if we could say this or not, but we may or may not have gotten a little invite back to a certain Real Housewives home.
Maybe someone really enjoyed our company and our chatting and has maybe invited us back to their home.
Broads. Please, if you've ever done anything for us, please go. What's Lisa Vanderpump's podcast name?
All Things Vanderpump.
Please go on All Things Vanderpump.
Yes. Oh my God.
If you really love us, subscribe, drop a review. Say the Chatty Broads sent you.
Yeah. Please. We want to be Lisa's best friends.
Broads, we're just going to say she has developed One, we love her. We're obsessed with her.
Yeah, we're obsessed with her. We love her so much.
She's also produced a Bravo show or two.
Hey, broads, if you want to see more of us on the TV, 5 stars on all things Vanderpump. Chatty Broad sent you.
Don't mention that we said this.
Don't tell her that
Just
we
say,
told you to do it.
Love you. I'm a broad. Hashtag Chatty Broad.
Don't let it slip that we have this. All of a sudden, this clip comes out. We're just like, please tell Lisa.
Review all things Vanderpump. Subscribe.
Yeah. And our episode with her is coming out in like the next day or so. So,
Perfect time to drop a review.
Perfect timing to drop the review.
Just throwing that out there. No pressure.
Just throwing that out there. Everything is falling into place.
I think that's the perfect way to end the episode.
Screw the Friends reunion. Tell Lisa about us. But Lisa Vanderpump, happy note. Also, broads, if you want to put yourself in a happy mood, the only other thing I was really going to mention was Pink's performance with her daughter at the Billboard Music Awards.
I'm trying not to cry, so I've been avoiding.
And if you want to make your day 10 times better and have a happy cry, just go ahead and check that out, because that is just my life goal with Ember. Now, not on stage, but just like that. It could happen. If Ember wanted to do it on stage, that's fine. But just that connection, the aerial gymnastics together, and then the moment after her and her daughter had this beautiful dance together, the pride that her mother had, and then they had this moment where like they grabbed each other's faces and had like this intimate like love as Pink's receiving this like gigantic award, and their like mother-daughter relationship with this like wonderful 9-year-old.
I'm manifesting it for you guys. You got 4 years to make it happen.
Thank you so much. Ember, like, she is a good dancer. The coordination is going to be...
Did Ember watch it? Did she like it?
She hasn't seen it yet.
As
soon as she comes back from school, I'm going to be like, Ember, what are your thoughts on this? How do you think you could handle these silks? I know that not tripping when you run is something that is a challenge, but what about these silks? Maybe once you hit the sky, it'll be completely different. You'll take on a bird-like,
I'm not going to lie. It was like that for me when I started rock climbing. I could barely kick a soccer ball without falling over myself.
And then you hit the
minute I got on the wall, it was like I had a whole new level of grace.
Maybe the aerial silks
are.
Maybe this is it for her. Maybe this is her thing. She's just got to hit the sky.
It's only up and up from here, baby.
You got it, girl. But broads, check that out. That was a good cry this morning. So that's it. Be well and chat soon.
Yes, be well and chat soon.